The new school year is right around the corner, so we figured it's time to talk again about our favorite subject, Star Trek.
What's the matter? Don't you like books?
Oh, don't worry, Samuel T. Cogley. We love books. But now we can't get the idea out of our head of having a Star Trek class. Dude, that would have been so awesome. Anyway, starship captains get to do all sorts of cool stuff, but nothing could possibly be more satisfying than imparting valuable life lessons to those around them. Okay, well, maybe a trip to Risa, but...
Do you seek Chamaharon?
Yeah, moving on. Anyway, if you take your assigned seats, we're gonna rank these Star Trek lessons based on how impactful they were on the lives of their respective students.
Threshold.
Threshold. It's everyone's favorite love to hate, or is it hate to love episode of Voyager. Tom Paris's transwarp experiments have unexpected consequences. It turns out that traveling at infinite velocity will cause a human to evolve by millions of years in a matter of a single day. Unfortunately for Paris, this results in hair loss, a mutated appearance, and his tongue falls out. Rough day at the office, I guess. As you can imagine, the process drives Paris a little crazy. So he ends up kidnapping Captain Janeway and escaping in the transwarp shuttle. The Voyager crew eventually find the pair, but now evolved into giant space salamanders on some random planet. And they have clearly been busy because they've got babies that they just leave behind, but that's not what this episode's about. Once the doctor manages to find a cure, Paris apologizes to Janeway for what happened. The captain seizes this chance to teach him an important lesson about mating rituals.
Sometimes it's the female of a species that initiates mating.
As helpful and true as that information is, Paris still seems overwhelmed by the whole incident, just like we are. That's why we're ranking this one as our ensign. There isn't anyone who liked having the talk, regardless of whether it came from a teacher, a parent, or a captain.
Cueless.
In DS9's episode Cueless, Q takes a break from pestering Captain Picard and sets his sights on Commander Sisko. Facing off in Quarks, Q attempts to provoke Sisko by engaging in a little bare-knuckle brawling. Q punches the commander during this impromptu boxing class, but Sisko shares a lesson of his own when he strikes back and knocks Q on his omnipotent rump. Befuddled, Q points out that Picard never hit him, to which Sisko appropriately responds,
"I'm not Picard."
Q tries to cover up his surprise by taunting the commander about how easily he can be provoked, but Sisko's lesson is clear. Deep Space Nine is not the Enterprise. Things work a bit differently on this frontier space station. Q clearly took this information seriously, as this was the only visit he ever paid to DS9, or at least as far as we know. We can't read all the fanfic, okay, guys? Compared to how often Q returned to wreak havoc on Picard, with his lack of repeat visits to DS9, leaves us with one of two conclusions. Either Sisko taught Q that he is not to be trifled with, or Q just didn't find the situation to be fun. And we all know how fun Quark's Bar is.
Come to Quark's. Quark's is fun. Come right now. Don't walk. Run!
While Q probably did learn to avoid DS9 from his run-in with Sisko, there's still a chance he simply wasn't interested in going back, and that's why we're ranking this as our lieutenant. And let's be honest, getting punched isn't a fun way to learn anything.
Star Trek Into Darkness.
When Spock gets stranded inside an erupting volcano at the beginning of Star Trek Into Darkness, Captain Kirk takes the only logical course of action: violate the Prime Directive by flying to the rescue with the Enterprise in full view of the pre-warp civilization below. Unfortunately, Spock reports these heroics to Admiral Pike, who takes the Enterprise away from Kirk and sends him back to the Academy. Needless to say, Kirk is angry. He explains that as a human, he feels betrayed by Spock's report, going so far as to say that it's like he's been stabbed in the back, while Spock counters with a truth of his own.
Vulcans cannot lie.
But Kirk's emotionally charged lesson about ethics and friendship does not go to waste. Later, when Khan demands Spock beam torpedoes containing the frozen crew of the USS Vengeance, Spock agrees. Khan contends that he will know if Spock doesn't send over his torpedoes. Spock emphasizes that Vulcans do not lie and affirms that the torpedoes are Khan's. Of course, while the torpedoes belong to Khan, his crew is no longer in them. Instead, Spock detonates the torpedoes to disable Khan's ship. Genius. Kirk's insight on stretching the truth, especially when a friend's life is on the line, pays off in a very direct way. So we're ranking this lesson as our commander. Spock takes his friend's words to heart, which happens to be located where a human's liver would be, and saves the Enterprise.
Dark Frontier.
In the Voyager episode Dark Frontier, 7 of 9 reluctantly rejoins the Borg Collective in exchange for Voyager's safe passage. 7's young friend Naomi Wildman brings a rescue proposal to Captain Janeway, who is touched by the girl's initiative. When Naomi seeks confirmation that Janeway won't give up on 7, Janeway delivers 3 powerful lessons about being a starship captain.
Keep your shirt tucked in, go down with the ship, and never abandon a member of your crew.
Janeway's pep talk eases Naomi's worries, but the captain also puts her words into action by leading a successful rescue mission that returns 7 to Voyager. Teaching leadership through example from someone she respects so much must have meant a lot to Naomi, because she continued to impress the Starfleet brass even after Voyager returned to Earth. How do we know? Well, when Bradward Boimler picks up a copy of Fleet, the official Starfleet magazine, he notes that Naomi has been given an honorable mention in the magazine's 30 under 30 list. An impressive feat for anyone, underlined by Boimler's comment that
she's like 10 years old!
Then again, when Captain Janeway is one of your mentors, you're destined for success. All of that adds up to giving this leadership lesson the rank of captain. Great advice from a respected captain that leads to an official recognition from Starfleet. I mean, that works out well for everyone. Well, except Boimler. He's still upset about not making the 30 under 30 list. I'm sorry, Boims.
I'm not in here. They cut me out.
Schisms.
In The Next Generation's The Defector, Data acts out a scene from Shakespeare's Henry V in the holodeck. Captain Picard is pleased by Data's talent, but when Data states that he plans to study the performances of other actors, the captain offers some tenured theater wisdom.
You must discover it through your own performance, not by imitating others.
Over the years, we watched Data explore the arts in many ways, to varying degrees of success, like when Data struggled with Deanna Troy's directive to sculpt music in masks. However, in Schisms, he performs an original poem for the crew, the soon-to-be iconic Ode to Spot, which he dedicates to his cat.
I find myself intrigued by your subvocal oscillations, a singular development of cat communications.
Data indicates that he chose Spot as his subject because of the profound impact the cat had on his life. By selecting someone who holds a special meaning to him as the focus of his original art, Data is heeding his captain's advice and expressing himself in a very personal way. Picard's lesson was clearly a lasting one. Data's Ode to Spot poem shows us just how impactful the captain's teachings have been, and so we're ranking this as Admiral. We're able to see Data's growth throughout the seasons, and finding your own way is generally just great advice. If only we had a positronic brain to store and process such important wisdom. If only. How well did these lessons resonate with you? Do you agree with our rankings, or are we the ones that need to go back to school? Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, don't forget to do your homework.
You're saying Vulcans stole your homework?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Nog, we love you, buddy.